First question will go to Cam Wolf.
Hey, George, we got plenty of room up for you out here. I wanted to ask you just, you guys made a lot of changes on the coaching staff as a whole. I guess Flo did, and you're one of the people who came back. How have you guys started to try to gel as a staff despite, having to have all that separation because of COVID?
Well, it's something that every year, we have to deal with, but it's definitely a good observation. The players go through their chemistry. We as coaches go through our chemistry too. So putting everybody on the same page as far as, what day-to-day operations are, but also the communication. For example, at the tight end position, there's communication with the line coach, obviously with the coordinator, how he sees things through his lens. So we've had our share of meetings and, it's been good. We can't high five each other, but we've gotten enough information. We've taken a lot of notes and we've had a lot of good feedback back and forth. So yeah, it's an obstacle not being there to maybe go to have a 2-minute meeting in the hallway, but we've definitely put some time invested throughout the day to get on that same page.
Omar?
I want to ask you about Adam Shaheen in terms of what was it that you saw from him when he was added to your unit, and how do you view him as a potential help for this offense?
Yeah, so Adam, we try to evaluate all of the tight ends, or at least I have just throughout my career. And, I was in Detroit for a little bit, so I was able to see him, but also, he's got great range from a length standpoint and size. And, he's had his issues trying to stay on the field. I think that's part of the NFL. So he's a young prospect that is ascending. He's very motivated in these meetings. We've had some extra time too to make sure that he's getting caught up. Ideally with a new player, we go through the spring portion and then now we're into the fall portion, and it's kind of just maybe the second or third time he's heard things. So he's got some work cut out for him mentally, but he's up for the challenge. Guy's been productive in the pass game. And like I said, like his length against NFL defensive ends or outside backers that are on the line of scrimmage, like that's a valuable piece to have. So we can't coach that part, but we can definitely catch him up to speed, and then it's up to him to get open in the passing game.
Joe Shad.
Hey, George, good to see you. My background is not as nice as Cam's. What has it been like having Chan Gailey, coming out of retirement, being away from football? What kind of a sense do you get from him about how he's feeling about being back around football?
Well, I mean, football is for all of us. It's pretty much in our blood. It is what we do. So Chan has a lot of experience at all different type of levels, head coach, coordinating, college, pro. So he has an excellent perspective on what everybody's going through from each position. He's answered a lot of those questions that maybe come up in our meetings, and he's had a million of those discussions with a bunch of different staffs that he's been a part of. So it's a good perspective. I look at it as a huge opportunity for me to kind of get that knowledge, to keep growing as a coach. He's very open to providing his perspective. So, and he wants to know about how we see the players. So that stuff's been great. And, I really enjoy it day to day.
Omar?
I wanted to follow up on the question about Adam. How is he working on the line? And do you feel comfortable with what you have in the tight end unit in terms of guys who can work on the line in Chan's offense?
Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of versatility with these guys. Not only as I call it a point of attack tight end when you're actually like on the line, but as a move guy. You still end up being the spot, but off the line where now you have multiple things that you can do. Looking for versatility in that. And we have a lot of guys in this group, guys returning from Durham to Chris, who was on the practice squad last year. And Adam provides the same thing. So we're looking to kind of diversify as much as we can and maybe not be one-dimensional with one particular guy, but we're going to always put the guys that are what they emphasize as far as positives in their skill set and put them on the field. now's the time to really see that. You'd like to have a little bit of a spring background, like I said before, but it is what it is, and those guys are going to have to perform in the maybe 1 or 2 reps as opposed to 5 or 6 reps that if you kind of add it through the 2 different phases of the practice formats.
Hal?
Hi, I wanted to ask you about Godsey real quick. When you look at his first half of last year on tape versus the way he dominated in those latter portion of the season, what was the change?
And Hal, I know we spoke about this to a degree, a small degree last year. He put an emphasis on his practice habits. We say practice execution is more game reality. So if you can get out there and practice at a high level and go against high level competition, so going against that first team defense, maybe taking a show team rep, I would say, dropping the shield, so to say, as a pro, like get out there, be a show team guy and go against good competition, and he put time into that, got some extra time with Fitzy as far as seeing, running routes so that he could see it the same way as a quarterback. That's a hard thing to do too, especially where he is in his career. Every quarterback sees things differently. And so making sure you're on the same page with them, it's not necessarily the same thing as just running a route. Hey, I caught it. That may still not be the correct way that he's looking at it or the actual detailed way. So he became more of a communicator with the quarterbacks. And I think that was part of his, production increase, how to look at it that way from a passing game standpoint.
All right, guys, we have time for one more question, and we'll go to Barry Jackson.
Hi, George. Good to see you. Just wanted to ask you about 2 of the young guys. With Myrick, what skills you see last year that intrigued you? And what about Stirk was it, Bryce Stirk, that made you want to make him your defensive end to tight end project?
Okay. First with Chris. Chris is a very good pro. He comes into work and is prepared. He's a physical player. He's worked to maintain a higher weight to be more productive as a point of attack tight end. But he also has some of those off the line characteristics to be able to do some 2-back stuff, whether it's, slicing back on a defensive end or insert for a backer or even pass protection. He runs through his mistakes, but he corrects them and moves on. So we like how Chris practiced last year, and he practiced with good effort, and those are the things that we look for. And then on from Bryce's standpoint, this is a physical guy. I mean, he's a strong, heavy-handed guy that obviously there's some technique things that we're working on, and we're trying to have the attitude of improve every day. And we know that no spring for a rookie that's transitioning is a very difficult position to be in. But he's open to learning. Being an offensive player that played defense, there's a good perspective there, just like from a coaching standpoint, if you coach defense, coaching on offense. So those things can help him with his blocks, knowing exactly, hey, this defensive end is not going to rip inside. He's going to be a contained player. So those are subtle things that can help him. And like I said, he's a bigger tight end that we're going to emphasize technique, especially starting with the blocking first.